taken drugs and been having sex for hours, the defendant told Jane about freak-offs. Jane agreed to try one to make the defendant happy. To her surprise, the defendant said he would make it happen immediately, that very same night. He took her to a hotel where a room was already set up and an escort was on the way. Jane was nervous, and the defendant directed her step by step. Jane thought the first freak-off was a one-time wild night. Jane was wrong. The defendant continued asking Jane to have freak-offs and promising that if she did, they would spend quality time together. They would go on dates together. They would go on trips. That was what Jane wanted more than anything, a real relationship. So she agreed. She helped plan freak-offs and reach out to escorts. But even though the defendant promised her quality time and trips, he never delivered. Those were just lies, he told her, to get more nights in dark hotel rooms with escorts. Jane will tell you about those nights in detail, how she wanted the escorts to wear condoms, but many times the defendant did not let them. And Jane will tell you how he had her take drugs to stay awake and aroused for days. Jane tried twice to make it through these nights without drugs. The first time, she broke down and had took ecstasy to finish performing for the defendant. The second time, Jane vomited after having sex with one escort. How did the defendant respond? He told her to hurry up and get back into the room where another escort was waiting. Early on, Jane told the defendant that she didn't like freak-offs and she just wanted to be alone with him. She loved him desperately and wanted a real relationship with him. The defendant did not listen. Feeling stuck and sick of the strangers the defendant kept bringing to these hotel rooms, Jane tried to assert herself in small ways. She found two men who performed in pornography, and she invited them to join the freak-offs. That way, Jane could at least choose the other man she was forced to be intimate with. Like he did with Cassie, the defendant eventually took steps to control Jane financially. The defendant wanted Jane available with him at a moment's notice, and he discouraged her from working. Jane's income plummeted. The defendant gave Jane money and later started paying rent for the house that she lived with her child. That way, when Jane resisted the freak-offs and told him over and over that she wanted to stop, he had the power to coerce her back into hotel rooms. And just as he had with Cassie, the defendant threatened Jane with the videos he recorded of her engaging in sex acts with the escorts. But the lies and the drugs and the threats were not the end of it. Not even a year ago today, Jane had the worst day of her life. The defendant came to Jane's house for an at-home date night. She and the defendant argued about another woman that the defendant had been seeing. Jane was upset and jealous. She had now spent years in hotel rooms for forced sex while the defendant took his other girlfriends for dates and trips. Jane hit the defendant and threw things at him. The defendant